Hello, this video is a video on how to process payroll only. This is for our payroll only prospects and clients. First off, this is a login for our administrator, which would be you processing payroll. Every client's going to look a little bit different, so don't worry about looking at this too hard. It'll definitely be streamlined to your colors, your logos, everything along those lines. But when you're processing payroll, you will have a little payroll tab here. In this payroll tab, it does a lot. Before I jump into payroll, I just want to explain how to utilize this dashboard to its fullest. First off, to process payroll, you'll just come out here and click that. You'll want to process any outstanding withholding employees have submitted to you first, and then you'll go to the payroll process. We will be setting up your general ledger in the system more than likely. Again, this is dependent on if the client needs it, but most of our clients do have the general ledger set up. If you do use any sort of QuickBooks, desktop or online, we could have that sync once payroll is finalized as well. We could also build all your workers' comp rates into the system, so you can pull those annual reports on payroll dollars versus rates in our system. And then lastly, all your tax packets we will deploy quarterly. We do quarterly reconciliations for all of our clients. It's just a part of what we do on your behalf. And we will deploy quarterly benefits to you, and if we need to credit or debit anything on your taxes. But really on this dashboard, you will have all your labor distributions, payroll trends. We could even build out any more analytics that could be helpful to you. Maybe you want to always keep an eye on your terminations or new hires, but really this is customizable. So we can build out any analytics that could be helpful to you. And of course, you will always have access to all of our great payroll reports in the Report Hub. So the Report Hub gives you all sorts of reports, and these are just some examples of our payroll reports that just come with the system. And of course, you could customize them on the fly. And all of these reports you can export at any time in any format. But let's go ahead and start up payroll. So for payroll, you will just click the Process Payroll button. All of your regular payrolls, if you're weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, monthly, they'll all be loaded out here. We will have all your pay dates, depending on how you guys pay out, loaded out here. So you would just want to keep an eye on them, make sure all the pay dates are accurate. At any time, you can always add an off cycle. So if you need to do like a year-end bonus or something like that, you can always do that. We just ask for a 2-day heads up on that. So, but really all your regular payroll rolls will be out here. And when the time comes, when you have to finalize, get in here and do your payroll, you'll just click the payroll prep process. There are multiple steps, but they're all very helpful. So I'm going to kind of walk you through what we got here. So the very first step is the pre-check and validation record. So this is anything that happens during this pay period. So if you have new hires, terminations that start mid-pay period and mid-pay period, or like base comp changes that start mid-pay period, our system will be able to prorate those sorts of things, even on salaried employees. So this is just telling you, I put an example in here, that our employee Josh had a base compensation change mid-pay period, which will prorate automatically, but it's just telling you to double check it, make sure everything looks good. So this little area will just bring in all the items, terms, mid-pay period changes, and they keep adding more and more in here. So it's just a double check for you. Of course, you have the option to mark these as complete as you go. Just so you kind of, if you get pulled away a lot, it'll keep you on track when you come back. But the very first step after the pre-check is really just if you forgot to hire someone, or if you need to terminate someone, or if you just need to edit someone's pay, this is just your time to kind of get those edits done if you forgot to before. Of course, you can always do these edits throughout the day, the week, the pay period. But this is more just like, hey, did you do this? Did you forget? It's just more to hire last minute if you need to. And then those items, again, you could just mark them as complete and keep on going. And Kathy watches me. The very next thing is you'll initiate payroll. So what this does, and all these steps don't take too long. So when you initiate payroll, and this will auto fill in every time you run it after the first time, but when you initiate payroll, it's taking everything from the employee file that we import in there for you. So the base comp, any salary, any hourly rates, any direct deposits, any tax tables, all those sorts of items just got thrown into all the pay statements. So really, that's 90% of the work right there. All of the items from the employee file just got put into the pay statement for you. The next item, if you don't need it, that's perfect. But if you do, you can always use a batch. So if you have all salaried employees, you may not need this, but if you ever need to just key in hours or import items into the batch, we have all sorts of imports. So if you want to keep an hours log or export from another system and import into ours, we can help you with an import template where then you could import that file into the system so you don't have to do as much manual work. So we have all sorts of imports. Please ask us questions on that. We can help you with providing that to you. Or if you want to do it a different way, of course, you'll have full access to come out here and update your batch. So maybe you just want to quickly plug in hours for people. These are all my salaried people on a biweekly pay period. So they already have 80 because they're salaried. But maybe you just want to plug in that this person worked 12 hours on warehouse and regular. You can always add more lines if you want to do different labor distributions too. But really, you can plug in hours, you can plug in rates. Maybe you want to do a bonus run and just want $500 for Josh and $200 for Michael here. You can always plug and play almost like it's a spreadsheet, and then save and update the payroll so it flows to payroll too. But if you don't want to do any manual entry, which we completely understand, there's always the option to upload these batches too. So we can help you with those imports. Just please ask the question and we can definitely help you import those files into the system. And really at that point, your payroll's ready. You can just scroll down and start doing your payroll audit, but you still do have the opportunity, if you want to just come into the view pay statements area, just look around, maybe just see what certain people look like, maybe double check those people that should be prorated, your new hires, your terms. And this area really is for any one-time, one payroll edit. So if you just need to come into Nancy and edit her pay statement for a one-time, one payroll edit, maybe you just need to add a bonus to one person that's pay run for $50 and just save it. You can always do those one-time, one payroll edits. You'll have full access to edit the pay statement. Some clients also, if they have one person they need to update and they, maybe they were on leave and they need to double up their dental or medical, you can always override that one-time item if you need to. Of course, we have simpler solutions for this, but if you're just running payroll and need to quickly do it on the fly, you can always do those one-time, one payroll edits within here. Okay. And then at this point, really your payroll's ready. You can have alerts. So if there are alerts, you'll want to check them because they could be that they're adding local taxes because the system can check those out for you. Maybe you set up an alert to alert yourself of a bonus. You can also alert yourself of certain things. And then lastly, before you start looking at the payroll, you'll want to close your payroll. This is not finalizing it. This is just closing it so nobody can edit it any further. And so really all your reports can be viewable. You have some great reports. The employees not paid report is super helpful. It'll tell you, that's not even an employee, I need to take that out, but this will tell you anybody that might be on leave, anybody that's not getting paid, that you just need to double check and make sure that that is accurate. You sometimes catch stuff in there. There's also the payroll register by pay statement. This is probably the most popular, the most useful report. It has, well, all the reports are useful, but this is probably the one you'll want to export. So you can export this in like a PDF if you would like to, and look at absolutely everything running through payroll. So all the earnings, all the deductions, all the year-to-dates, all the taxes, if they have a checking or a savings, or they're going to be a live check, you know, all those sorts of things you could view on this. And then really lastly, one of the other favorite reports is the payroll recap and funding. So this is everything you need to load the bank account. So everything we're going to debit you. So really how that's going to work is that we debit you essentially 3 times. The first time is all the direct deposits we file to the Fed on your behalf. The second is all the taxes we'll be paying on your behalf. And then the third is really any vendor liabilities we can pay on your behalf. And when I say vendor liabilities, this is mainly garnishments and child support. So we can definitely input your garnishments and child supports for you, and we could send those checks or ACHs to the government bodies for you. So it really just gives you a full responsibility in what you need to load your bank account for. And then also it gives you a quick high level of the comparison of last payroll to this payroll to make sure, you know, you didn't accidentally key in an extra 0 or something like that. Make sure you're in line with what you normally do. So really in the end here, once you're okay with all your reports, you'll just finalize payroll. When you finalize payroll, there's a lot of automation that can happen with our system. So what most clients do is what I'll speak to, but when you finalize payroll, it will first off come to us. So we can do your child supports, your garnishments, we'll file your taxes, and of course we could print your checks if you have any live checks and mail them to you, or we could send a file to you to print your own checks as well. And then we will do all the payroll related items. But really there's some automation. If you have any sort of general ledger, if you use QuickBooks, we can have it go unposted to QuickBooks once you finalize payroll, to where then you could double check it and post it. If you have other systems, we could talk through what integrations we already have available. But really, we can also automate your 401k files if that's something you need, and we could just automate reports to go to people. So that payroll recap and funding, maybe you want it to go to your CFO or something like that. So there's just some automation we can talk through. If you have any further questions, of course, please reach out to us. But that is the basic payroll only and how you complete that in our system. Thank you for listening, and please have a great day. Thank you.